You already know what time it is when you hear that music. And look who popped up again. It was enough number ones in the chat that we brought my man Quincy Carrier back for another round at Ultimate Browns. How you doing, Quincy?
They let me back here, man. So, we'll see how this goes and see if they continue to allow me to stay up here.
Listen, they was like, you actually had some thoughts and things that you talked about that people liked. And you got your money off. So we back again. Let's go ahead and knock this one out too. We got a great show for you as always. Fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. You know what we're going to get into. We got a game where we're going to play what used to play back in the day. What would you rather? But this is a toned down approach. This is a what's more likely edition in the Browns edition. We'll talk about what's more likely: a new dome roof, the Browns have an alternate color besides brown, orange, and white, or cheerleaders. Which is more likely? You guys can opine on that in the comment section and the live chat as well. We got a lot of good stuff. If you saw the thumbnail, biggest combine bust of all time. I got a guy. Quincy has a guy. We'll go ahead and go through those biggest busts. And some of these names brought back so many memories because I was like you. I was like, man, I want this dude. I saw there's a couple of combine times on here that I was fooled by. I was fooled by a couple of these dudes. We'll get to that. But first and foremost, let's get to this, man. We talked about this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show a little bit earlier. Better bounce back year, Nick Chubb or Deshaun Watson? Before me and Quincy get into it, let's see what we talked about earlier on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Between Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson, which of these two Browns players has the better chance to win the 2024 NFL Comeback Player of the Year entering this new season? Who wants to start us off?
Deshaun Watson.
No kidding.
And why?
Because the Browns they're going to tailor make this offense so it can fit him. They want to throw the ball. They're going out and literally going to try to get a wide receiver to help him. They're bringing in a new offensive play caller that specializes in shotgun and throwing the ball deep down the field. So I think that if anybody, he's going to have the numbers. He's going to have the support from his organization to be able to do so. Nick Chubb, the only reason I don't think Nick Chubb will be able to get it because I'm not 100% sure when Nick Chubb will play in the season. I'm pretty sure Deshaun will be the starting quarterback week 1. Nick Chubb, when you come back from those type of injuries, it might take you 3 to 4 weeks. So now you're already behind in that, and then it's going to take you a minute to get revved up again. So I just think it's going to take too long for him to take off to have the numbers to win Comeback Player of the Year. To whereas Deshaun Watson coming right out of the gate, he'll already have the new weapons, he'll have the new play calling, and I think that is tailor-made for him to be able to win Comeback Player of the Year.
Well, Quincy, you heard it right there. What do you look at in terms of coming back? Who do you believe will have a better year? Nick Chubb, obviously, off the knee injury. Deshaun Watson off the shoulder injury. Where do you think that this is going to be at? And do you think either one of those guys has a better chance of winning the Comeback Player of the Year over the other?
Yeah, I think Deshaun probably does just because his injury was much less severe than Nick Chubb's injury, right? Like his injury, you can make it sound brutal because it's a throwing shoulder injury, but it's a bone break. Those tend to heal with less complications than an ACL injury where he had to get 2 separate surgeries in order to repair the ligament. Now, will Nick Chubb be able to get back in form at some point? Yeah, I think if this team makes the playoffs, we're going to be talking about Nick Chubb starting to rev up and looking like Nick Chubb in the playoffs. But I do think it's going to be a little bit of a slower grind for Nick Chubb, and also not a situation where you're going to come out day one and get the guy 85% of the carries like you were planning on last year, right? He's probably going to have to split carries. We'll see who they get in the draft or in free agency. But yeah, just it points to Deshaun Watson. Like they really want to find out about Deshaun Watson this year, which is going to leave him a lot of opportunity to find success with this team.
Soul Train, we appreciate the super chat, $2. Appreciate you both. I'm hyped for this one. As always, I'm always hyped to get in the booth with Quincy. I think that when you look at it from a perspective, I kind of agree with you. I really do, from a perspective of I think Deshaun Watson is already going to be throwing Mary Kay came out and said that. And I think that his injury is much less severe as well as Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb, this is the second one, my G. I mean, he had a major one in Georgia as well. And like you said, I think they're going to work him in very slowly back into this thing. I think he's going to get a nice, reprieve. They're going to make sure everything is good with him. I don't think he's even going to be practicing that much. So, I think he has an opportunity. Like if I want to put some numbers on it, maybe if he gets about 800 yards, that's a nice look, because I don't even know he's going to be playing first 6 games. Quincy, we talk about this a lot. How well does Deshaun Watson have to play before he's even in that sort of pantheon where the media is going to give him the opportunity to even win that award? Is it you looking more at stats, or you looking at the wins, or how the team does collectively?
I mean, like, look, when it comes to comeback player of the year, there's a formula, right? Or just any of these awards. He's going to have to play well on national TV. That's really the short and tall of it, right? He had that game against Baltimore. That game's on NBC, and it's Sunday Night Football, and he does that. The narrative of how we talk about Deshaun Watson changes because more people would have seen it, and it would have been less like the bad takes after that game wouldn't have flew because we would have all watched that game, So he needs to have good performances on national TV. The reason why, even the fact that like Deshaun did not have a bad season when he was out there, but the narrative is that he was bad. Well, what was the one game he was bad? Monday Night Football in front of everybody in Pittsburgh, right? Like that was the one game he was bad. Every other game, CBS, 1 o'clock, CBS, 1 o'clock, CBS, 1 o'clock, CBS, 1 o'clock. So when the nation saw him, he didn't look that good. So they're going off of that, despite the fact that I was a 1-game sample in what was like a 5-game setting, and he was much better than that. So yeah, if he wants to change the narrative, I mean, it's like anybody. You got to play good on national TV. You play good on national TV, that really changes how people view you, despite the fact that, Myles Garrett won that defensive player of the year, basically off of some dominant national TV performances, and a performance that was so good it catapulted a 1 o'clock game into like we must see national TV.
Yeah. Listen, I go back, and I think it's really funny about the narrative we talk about after that game, like against the Baltimore Ravens, where Deshaun Watson does what he does in that second half. Quincy, it's like it was like people were so excited in the city. Like, what I'm saying? People was like, yo, we finally see him paying the dividends with Deshaun Watson. We finally seeing what we paid for. And then you know what happens? He gets injured. People like there are people like on the 180 bridge, 480 bridge looking around like this can't be it. This can't be life. And now it's funny how that is morphed into a situation where I feel like he played, like if you listen to it, you feel like people talking. It's like he played the worst game of his life, or he played horrible in the 41 games, right?
It's like Andre 3000, right? Where since Andre has not dropped a verse or album in a long time, it's real easy to get this slander off on Andre 3000. Some of the younger people are like, oh, he wasn't even that good. He didn't have this, that. He not even better than Big Boy. It's easy to get that slander off because he did not drop something in so long.
Right.
It makes you forget what it was when it was out there. But then you get reminded of it. You're like, oh yeah, that was our point where we're like, oh yeah, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And then we realize how hot it is, but then he got hurt. So now he's not on our screens. He's not dropping new music, metaphorically speaking. And it's real easy for that slander to slide because it's not like he's playing every Sunday to disprove it. And that's just what it is, right? If he had that Baltimore game on national TV, the narrative would have been different. If that Pittsburgh game wasn't on national TV, the narrative would be different. But that's just how things played out. And if he wants that to change, I mean, look, the Browns are going to get plenty of national TV games. They got Myles Garrett, right? You're going to get the full 5, 6.
They might got some of that Brazil.
Yeah. Look, they asked LeBron about what it was like to work out with Myles Garrett. That's where Myles is at right now. He's going to be on TV. So yeah, so he's going to be on TV and he has to perform. Like if he gets a 300-yard, 4-touchdown performance on national TV, all of a sudden, take's going to start changing. But it's going to take something like that. And it's not going to be a Thursday night game, right? Like I don't think prime football is moving anybody like that. Got to do it on one of the big boy channels.
Hey, when we come back, we're going to get to it. If you saw the thumbnail, you tuned in for the thumbnail. You want to be here when we get back, because we're going to get into the biggest bust of all time. I got a guy. Quincy got a guy. You probably have some guys. If we missed the guys that you thought we should have put on the list, put it in the comment section below. You can put it in the chat as well. When we come back, we'll get to the biggest bust of all time. You're listening to the Ultimate Cleveland Browns Show right here on the UCSS Network. And you know what we go up. You know what we got to do. Thursdays, 5 p.m. Shout out to my man, Earl the Pearl, Ultimate 216. He'll be talking to you about all things Cleveland. That includes culture. That includes, school systems, finances, everything. He's mixing it in with a little bit of sports. And make sure you check out Earl the Pearl, Ultimate 216. You Thursdays, 5 p.m. You don't want to miss it. And it's only going to be right here on the UCSS Network. Subscribe to the channel so you know when Earl the Pearl comes up. Make sure you check out the Ultimate 216. We back at it. My man Quincy Carrier is back in the building. As a matter of fact, you got to shout him out at Quinn_C. I always liked your joint better than mine. Mine is just at GBush91. I see how you got kind of creative with that, man. Definitely.
Oh yeah, make that in high school. You know, I didn't know how long this would, how long I would be using it.
Well, listen, it's stamped into the annals of time now. Everybody know what it is. Let's get into this thing. You know, the NFL Combine's going on right now. And the name that I did a little bit of a kind of a countdown with guys that could possibly be available, and then Chop Robinson ruined all that by running a 4.4. Any one hit wonders you see out there that she's like, dang, I didn't know he was that fast.
You mean this year?
Yeah, this year.
I think the guy Fisk from Florida State ran a pretty good 40 time, right? 4.77.
Yeah.
I wait till the end of the weekend to get all caught up into the 40 times because I just like to watch the little cut-ups. Instead of just trying to poach them out, I want to see both the runs back to back. Right, that's it. I just need the information. I'm not trying to hear it.
I dug through the linemen a little bit. The Chop Robinson came up. But I'm going to wait them out as well. So without further ado, let's get into the guys that were a big of a bust a couple years ago. Let's start off with this dude, man. Vernon Golston, man. The guy out of Ohio State, man. ESPN Sports Nation page claimed Vernon Golston, defensive end, turned in the best performance at the 2008 Combine when he ran a 4.61, put up 37 reps and 225 on the bench, posted the best figures among defensive linemen in the vertical jump and the broad jump. As we know, Golston appeared in 45 games and was downright sad when it came to statistics. Couldn't get after the quarterback. What do you remember most about the bust of Vernon Golston?
He was excellent on NCAA football. I remember that, right? Like he was nice. Dude.
He was nice.
Yes, and then if you could play with turning the line of scrimmage off, so you can turn offsides on, you give him a running start every time. That was the dude on the video game. I remember that. That is the peak, unfortunately, for his NFL career, is being the number one dude on the NCAA video game.
And I remember him as one of the best Under Armour underwear models. Like he was the first guy that he body shamed you. I play defensive end and he played defensive end. I'm like, when I take my shirt off, I don't see that. I'm kind of sad. I thought he was going to be a monster. Too bad he was not in the game plan.
He was built like Julius Peppers.
Yo, he was built like, he was like, dang, bro, I can get myself together. Let's get to the next guy. Mac Jones. Remember him? Quarterback at Arkansas, remember? He was pretty good. He was pretty good on college football because he had a nice speed. You know what I'm saying? Run the option when you're dynasty in the first few years when you couldn't throw the ball, you can see we can work in the game. And this Arkansas quarterback, Matt Jones, made history at the Combine by running a 4.41, the fastest time ever recorded for a signal caller. The Jacksonville Jaguars drafted him in the first round, moved him to receiver. And he didn't really do much after that. 12 games. Jones did have 65 receptions over 12 games during the 2008 campaign, but his momentum was halted after he earned a 3-game suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. He was not very good. That was a reach and a half. Matt Jones, what do you think about Matt Jones when you stop and think about him?
See, look, Vernon Golston was a NCAA video game all-star, but Matt Jones was a Hall of Famer in that Madden franchise. Look, he might not have torn up the league in real life, but he had potential He
He was.
tore up my league in Madden. What was it? Madden 08 or Madden?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of them
I think-
PS2 Maddens.
I think if you put him like his speed was like an 88 or 89 or something crazy like that.
It was crazy. You just sent him on a 9 and it was gone, dog, every time.
Like and his throw power and throw accuracy wasn't bad. So like if you needed a short yard, like wildcat type deal, like he was able to get that off too.
Shout out to Rail Pryor. You know,
TP2.com. What's up, bro? Let's get to this guy right here, John Ross. Man, this dude ran a blazing 4.22. He was that dude. I think he still is the fastest dude ever to run into combine. Ross struggled with injuries, significantly limited his effectiveness over his 5-year NFL career. 4 with the Bengals and 1 with the Giants. He lost. He last touched the field in 2021 with the Giants, and he did not play for any team in 2022. I think he just retired. And he passed down an opportunity to play for the Kansas City Chiefs and just like rolled out and just quit. You know, it was like, I'm done. Injuries, really derailed his career. What are your thoughts about John Ross?
I think about that 2017 draft being one of the most hit or miss NFL drafts of all time, because you have guys like Myles Garrett, Pat Mahomes went 10th overall, Deshaun Watson 12th overall in that draft. But then you also have Mitchell Trubisky, Solomon Thomas, and Leonard Fournette going back to back to back. Corey Davis after that. Then Jamal Adams, who's decent. Mike Williams, who's decent. Christian McCaffrey, really good pick. Yeah. John Ross. Like it is hilarious. Remember Derek Barnett? People were trying to convince us that he was just as good as Myles Garrett.
Georgia Tech, right?
No, I believe he went to Philly and he played at, I want to say he played at Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee.
Got you.
I remember I was at a work thing and somebody who went to the University of Tennessee was telling me how wrong I was about Myles. I was like, yeah, okay. Well, sure, buddy.
We up to the next one. This is your guy. When I asked you when we was doing prep for the show, I said, "What's the guy who you think about when you think about the biggest bust?" And you said this guy right here, Kevin White. My gosh.
Yes.
Deion Sanders speculated wide receiver Kevin White may just have ran himself into being a top 10 pick after the speedster clocked in with a 4.35 40 at the 2015 Combine. He ended up getting drafted by the Bears and was trash. Yeah, Quincy, what made you think of Kevin White when it came to talking about the biggest bust?
There's nobody who fits that. Like John Ross got hurt, right? Like he continued to get hurt, and that's what kind of hurt his career. Nobody knew about Kevin White before he ran that 40, and nobody knew about Kevin White after he got drafted. Like that is the combine creation right there. Like he would have went in the second, third round if it weren't for this 40 time that he ran. But he ran that 40 time, and somebody fell so in love that they drafted a man who somehow had an 8-year career in the NFL while getting 400 yards, which means Amari Cooper, if he just has 2 games against the Texans, like he might beat his career average.
Whoa, that's so crazy. Listen, it was so hard to find a picture of this man. I was just Googling everything.
Kevin White to get a picture of him in the combine. There's no images of him catching a football in the Chicago Bears jersey.
This is the last catch he caught, Q, right here. This was he is in combine Under Armour. Nowhere to be found. It's
the wildest thing about Kevin White is that they really gave this thing a chance his rookie year, right? They threw him 36 targets. He got 187 yards. They just gave up after that. Like he got 4 targets in 2017, probably due to injury. 8 targets the year after in 9 games. No targets when he went to San Francisco, and then get a target again until he played for New Orleans in 21 and 22. Which, by the way, shout out to you if you knew that Kevin White was playing for the New Orleans Saints as late as last year.
That's crazy. That like he. I had to look deep for mine. I had to look and be like, okay, he got a good one. Let me go with this. Remember this big dude kind of was like running, and he had one of the greatest combines ever. Remember Bruce Campbell? I couldn't find no stats on him neither. I had to get the combine look on him too. February 2012, 24. Austin Paxson of 24/7 Sports wrote how offensive tackle Bruce Campbell somewhat shockingly became a superstar in the 2010 NFL draft after the 6'3", 314-pound lineman ran a 4.85. Recorded 30 reps on the bench, 32-inch vertical, and he eventually fell to the Raiders in the 4th round despite those numbers. And Oakland soon learned why that occurred. Think about that. That man ran that fast. He was that big and that strong, and he still went in the 4th round.
Hey, man, can we talk about how ridiculous that bench press number is for a man who's 6'6"? Like,
With the long arms.
Yes, you know how hard that is. Like people are like, why do running backs bench more? Because they got them tiny little arms. It ain't nothing to push that up like 25. The long dudes, like people wonder why Kevin Durant can't put up 225 or 185 or whatever it was. He got 7-foot long arms. Nobody doing that. Like that is so hard to do. Do it 34 times. Like, did he have short arms or something? It makes you wonder, like, dang, man, why didn't it work? Like, you got all the tools.
You got everything you want. You got everything you want in that body. It kind of reminded me of the dude that came out of Mekhi Becton. I was going to go with him. He's still playing for the Jets. I think they'll get him out of here within a year or so. I think they're almost done with him. So, that'll go for our top 5. If you have a different bust that you want in that top 5, let us know in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and definitely check that out. Coming up next, we will get to this. Which is more likely? The Browns is an organization that don't like to move into the new age and new wave of things. We'll do a quick game of which is more likely with the Cleveland Browns. You'll be interested to see what we come out with. You're listening to the Ultimate Browns Show right here on the UCSS Network. You already know what we got going. We got the Ultimate 216. We got the Ultimate Cavaliers as well. Cleveland Cavaliers are definitely touching down. They're in Detroit tonight. They're trying to get the nasty taste out of their mouth with the game against the Chicago Bulls. Make sure you check that out. Mikey McNuggets as well as Jason Lloyd of The Athletic, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. They'll be going over everything Cavaliers, getting you ready as the Cavs make their march into the playoffs. 2 seed right now. Let's see if they can hang on to that. And you want to keep it locked and make sure you find everything you want with the Cleveland Cavaliers, with the Ultimate Cavaliers, right here on the UCSS Network. Quincy, we getting back into it, and this is really funny. The Cleveland Browns, they have a tradition. And they're very traditional on things, right? So the Browns are looking at a new stadium, and looking at trying to renovate the one we have or get a brand new one in Brook Park. They flirted a little bit with the jerseys. I like the white setback uniforms with the white helmets. I love those. I'm a big fan of the color rush ones as well. And the Browns don't really have any exterior things. They don't have a mascot per se. They do have the dog, Swagger. But we don't have what a lot of teams have. We don't have cheerleaders or even a band. So I'm going to play a nice, cool game with you, and you guys can play along. Make sure you put it in the comment section as well. What's more likely? The Cleveland Browns having a retractable roof, which we've been clamoring for years, cheerleaders, or an alternate color on a jersey besides orange, brown, or white?
So cheerleaders are banned. I think that's not going to happen because cheerleaders ain't a thing you can introduce. Like you can have cheerleaders and continue to have cheerleaders, but if you start being like, "Hey, we're introducing cheerleaders," then you open yourself up to a bunch of different questions that I don't think that they want to answer.
Like, why wasn't it cheerleaders to begin with?
Well, or it's just some people don't like the ideal of the cheerleaders for other reasons as well, right? So you can there's a lot of sides of the spectrum that you're gonna have to answer if you bring in the cheerleaders that I just don't think that they want to do, especially.
And it's kind of cold. Usually is cheerleaders a warm weather thing?
It's just most teams have cheerleaders.
Do the Steelers have cheerleaders?
NFL teams usually don't. Right. Really? It's more of an amateur, like college or high school thing. Right. So it's one of those things like if you had it, you can have it. But if you don't,
Yeah.
It feels weird when you bring them on.
Raiders and Cowboys. Raiders and Cowboys, I know they got them. So, you know, but that's been a part of what they do, right? Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, it is what it is.
And you can't do the band because Baltimore. Uniform color. We done seen what happens when you experiment, man. Like, let's just not, dog.
You're not gonna give them the full rank and file on them.
No.
Like they did have the Marina League jerseys with the Browns.
Nike anymore with that kind of stuff. I think a fixed roof is more likely than a retractable roof. Like one of them joints that like the Vikings have, where it's translucent and you can see through it because. Okay. If you get the sunlight through, what's the point of retractable roof? And it's kind of cheaper than that. And Jimmy Haslam got a lot of money. He ain't got SoFi Stadium money. So probably something non-retractable but roofed. I would go with that most likely.
So see, this is what I have. You know, I'm the Duke of knee-jerk. You know, this guy's way more level-headed than I would like to be. You know, he just simply went down the line and was like, yeah, you know, cheerleaders are kind of a college thing, you know, just one of those things. Jerseys, we've been down that road. I like the traditional jerseys. He kind of, put cold water on that one. And he's like, roof, maybe more of a translucent thing, maybe a little something more mature and you can still see the sun. See, this is what I'm saying.
Think about the upkeep that a retractable roof is going to have throughout the year. I know people are like, they got billions of dollars and this and that, but it's like, I don't want a lot of the budget for the stadium to go towards the roof. Like
you want amenities inside the stadium.
Yeah, I want stuff in the stadium, right? Like I don't want all of that budget to go to this roof that we might open every once in a while. And it's like the reason for a retractable roof, like because some people have this dream of we gonna let it rain. And like that's never what you gonna let happen with a retractable roof. Like it's only gonna let sunlight in. And if it's only gonna let sunlight in, it might as well be made out of glass now that you could do that kind of thing. And let's see like you saw what happened with the Metro Dome. It's no like that over here, dog. It might collapse.
They got this myth in their heart that we have an advantage because it's cold here and we're gonna open the roof up and it's gonna be cold and Pat Mahomes is gonna freeze to death. He can't no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, Pat Mahomes is out there winning football games in such cold weather that his helmet broke and he plays in Arrowhead. There's no advantage. There's no advantage to playing in the cold. Like you want to play in the cold, just don't get to home field, right? Like you've been doing, and you'll play in the cold. Right? Has it been an advantage? It's not. It's not. But you know, I think people are attached to the feeling of an outdoor football game. But I'm here to tell y'all, go to these new ones, man. You can feel like you outside. You don't feel like you in a dome. This ain't the Metro Dome. You know, this ain't the Edward Jones Dome anymore. They got them things to where you feel like you outside, but you in air conditioning. And if you can do that, why not?
Man, hey boy, you gonna get on in here. They got some new stuff in here right now. Speaking of new stuff, we got the new hotline. Make sure you check out the hotline. We got one of our hotline questions ready to go right now. Let me take this off so we get together. Hotline, man. If you have fan mail questions or comments, send your questions or comments by calling the Ultimate Browns hotline below and leave a message at the Ultimate Browns hotline, 216-345-4433, 216-345-4433, just like one of our callers did now.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Hey, first off, I just want to say that what you guys are doing at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is amazing. I love the show. Also, I just want to say that a free agent going into the 2024 market is Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's a perfect weapon for the Browns to sign, and I think if the Browns want to add any more depth to their defense, he should be the guy they target.
All right, you heard it there, Quincy. Shout out to you. Thank you for your call. If you want to be on the show like the last caller, 216-345-4433. Your thoughts on really quickly, about 60 seconds or less, on Josh Allen from the Jaguars. You think that he will reach free agency?
Really good, really young, won't reach free agency, won't be in the Browns price range.
This is really good. I said 60 seconds. He was like, I could pour cold water on stuff at 30. Don't worry about it, G. Bush. I like Josh Allen. I do agree. I think he's out of the Browns price range as well. And I think Jacksonville will bring him back. As all I said, I told you, Quincy, 30 minutes flies when you're having a good time. They keep, hey, you got to put the ones if you want Quincy to keep coming back. I need to see the ones in the comment section and in the chat if you want Quincy to keep coming back. As always, man, we want to thank you for participating, doing your thing, and supporting the Ultimate Brown Show. We will be back Monday. And like I said on Monday, guess who we got coming? Tyvis Powell of the Browns Radio Network will be in the building. We'll talk to him on Monday. But with that being said, you never know where G. Bush is going to be at. Make sure the only thing you got to do is listen to the Clippers. Have a great weekend and go Browns.